So now we can get into some of the other ways of animating these. You'll notice that we've got these video transitions. These are kind of preset stuff, but you can actually keyframe a number of video effects. And this is where you can truly come up with some very unique things. So first of all, I've got places here, but I don't actually have any animation on it yet. And let's say you don't have multiple backgrounds. And frankly, although this is nice, it's not terribly exciting. So let's look for something a little more exciting. I'm going to double click on the places sequence so that I can see I've got my places text and then I've got my background. So let's start off with the background. I'm going to go to the beginning here and I'm going to look in my effects, and distorting is one of the fun ways to make changes. So I'm going to take this turbulent displace and I'm going to drag and drop it on my background. So as you can see here now in effect controls, we have turbulent displace, and there are a number of different things that can be keyframed. And so one of the things I like to do is maybe go in about a second. So I'm going at about 1 second in, and I'm going to keyframe some of these things so that I know that after 1 second, it's going to be looking like this. So it'll be still and back to its original background. And then I'm going to go back to the beginning and make some changes. So I can take this amount of the displacement and just start dragging the numbers around, make a change. Now sometimes that looks pretty cool, but if I go to negative, well then I've got the black, which is the transparency, and there's nothing to see underneath it. So you want to watch for things that are going to kind of mess it up. But I can definitely go forward a certain amount before that appears. So I'm going to stop right about there, and I've got 2 keyframes now. So if I play this, you'll see that it pops into position there and then it's still. So do you want that to keep going? You can just take those keyframes and now it's going to continue to do that warping until it gets to a certain spot. Let's see what else might change. I'm going to make sure that I'm actually at the beginning, so any additional keyframes can be changed there. We've got sizes, so how much of that is being made turbulent. So let's see, that's also going to be moving and distorting, so that's pretty cool. What else? Complexity. Looks like that makes it look a little more like paint splatter. So if the complexity is also being reduced to 0, I'm seeing some jumpiness in there. So maybe that's not so good. So what do? I'm just going to jump to that second keyframe and say, you know what? I don't want that one to change. I'm going to keep it with that complexity set to higher. And now it's going to still do the turbulent stuff, but it's not going to get all the way back to its normal position. You can move those all the way to the end if you want it to be doing its thing the whole time. You wouldn't want it to do that with the text because the text has to become legible. So let's do a different effect on places. So I'm going to select places and I'm going to take maybe spherize. That sounds interesting. Drop it on places. Go to the beginning and look for the effects. So this one, it just has where the center of the sphere is and then a radius. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it creates, I see, it puts it, kind of makes it into a sphere kind of shape. So what we can do is, again, the text is going to need to be there 1 second in so that we have a chance to read what it is. And I'm going to keyframe the radius. Then we're going to go back to the beginning and increase that value maybe before it starts to move places. So we're going to do that. So let's see. So places kind of pops into position there. Okay, no sound effects needed, right? So find a way for it to disappear. We could just transition it out so it fades, whereas the background will fade separately. Go back to my video transitions and keep Let's just cross dissolve the text away. So it's going to fade. What does that look like back on the master? Well, let's go find out. So I've got this one transitioning to this one. I don't like the way it's not doing anything. That is something that can be very tough to fix because those keyframes now, I can't move them, I can't push them into the transition. So what I can do is I can change tracks. So I'm going to take this one and move it up. And then I'm going to overlap. And now I'm going to cross dissolve. So let me take that cross dissolve and have it fade in. So as those are moving, places is already in motion. This background is still doing its thing, and now I've got a multiple effect happening here. And if it doesn't work, Control Z. You can undo and try something else. That's going to be the case a lot of times.